Hello everyone. Today you'll hear a short recap of the movie Blood for Blood. Ryan Logan is a former Special Forces operative who took part in major missions in the Middle East. During one of those operations, Ryan was shot and nearly died. Now the man is raising his son and teaching him how to hunt animals with a rifle from a very young age. But the boy doesn't enjoy that kind of activity at all. He didn't even want to eat the meat of the deer they killed. While sharpening a knife, Billy accidentally cuts himself. Later, he wanders into the woods carrying that same knife and comes across a puppy. Moments later, the puppy's aggressive father appears. Billy realizes he's in serious trouble and calls for his dad. Ryan rushes over with a shotgun and kills the beast before it can tear the boy apart. Father and son return home late in the evening. Ryan's wife, Justine, is pregnant with their second child. Ryan is even building a crib for her with his own hands. Overall, the family seems perfectly happy. After being wounded, Ryan starts working as an instructor. He has a family to think about now and can no longer risk his life. Everything seems peaceful until another car crashes into the vehicle Justine is driving. The woman dies, but their son survives. 7 years pass. Logan leaves military service and now struggles to find stable work. Young Billy constantly breaks the law: theft, drug possession, vandalism. The kid regularly runs away from home, and his father can no longer control him. If Billy ends up in court one more time, Ryan could lose custody of his son. There are problems at school too. Billy has already skipped 10 days this semester. Apparently, he doesn't even want to study there, so the school suggests transferring him to a public school instead, especially since Ryan still hasn't paid for the last semester. The man promises that he'll definitely find the money. One day, Ryan's former commander Johnny asks to meet him. Things aren't going too well for him either. His wife left him for some rich pretty boy, and his daughters no longer want to speak with him. Johnny quickly gets to the point. He's been using his combat skills for criminal work and wants to involve his old friend in an upcoming job. Now Ryan faces a moral dilemma: break the law and solve his financial problems, or leave things as they are. Ryan gets a job as a sales representative, but he's terrible at it. Negotiation clearly isn't his strength. Ryan swallows the insult at first, but later comes back and threatens the rude customer, saying people will have to collect him piece by piece if he ever talks to him like that again. While Ryan is at work, Johnny shows up at his house uninvited and talks to Billy. He tells the boy that killing during war isn't really that bad, somebody has to die anyway. The former comrades meet again at a bar. Ryan firmly refuses to take part in any crime. However, Johnny reminds him of a favor he once did for him. Meanwhile, Billy decides to befriend some guys from school. At first they tell him to get lost, but their leader Brad eventually allows him to stay. In the end, Ryan agreed to take part in the job. Together with Johnny, they put on masks and, armed with pistols, broke into someone's apartment. Johnny shot a man in the leg and then started torturing him to get the code to the safe. Inside was a huge pile of cash. Everything was going according to plan until Johnny heard a message notification sound. A young guy had been hiding in the room and secretly texted his friends about the robbery. Backup arrived quickly. Someone knocked on the door. Ryan signaled to his commander that there was only one person outside and received the order to eliminate him. Luckily, it turned out to be just a delivery guy, so the robbers managed to leave without any trouble. But didn't you enjoy it? Johnny asked afterward. By the way, Ryan heard 2 muffled gunshots inside the apartment. He doesn't want to know what they meant. Apparently, Johnny killed the kid after all. After that, just as they had agreed, the 2 men went their separate ways. Ryan starts suffering from hallucinations. He feels as if his wife is still beside him and talks to her constantly. At work, the man receives a warning. A complaint had been filed against him the previous day. Threatening customers is unacceptable. Ryan agrees to apologize to the store owner, but warns that if the guy runs his mouth again, the same thing might happen. His boss can't take that kind of risk, so he finally fires the hot-tempered employee. Meanwhile, Billy tries to fit in with his new group of friends. The guys constantly mock him, but Brad actually looks out for him. Brad invites Billy to a party. Booze, girls, everything you'd expect. Ryan made a lot of money in just one night. It suddenly starts to feel worth it. That's why the veteran meets Johnny again and offers his help if he ever plans another job. Johnny already has something in mind for the former sniper. Ryan's task will be to cover his commander during a meeting with a shady guy. Billy asks Ryan for permission to go to the party. The man agrees, as long as the kid doesn't run away from home again. That evening, Ryan positions himself by a window with a rifle. Across the street, Johnny is meeting with a gang of drug dealers. Nate tells him that they were robbed by two masked ninjas. On top of that, one of their guys was killed. The robbers were highly trained, like former military personnel. They suspect Johnny, who apparently robbed his own employers. Of course, Johnny denies everything. Meanwhile, the party is taking place outside the city around a bonfire. Billy gets seriously drunk. The group starts drooling over Brad's father's car. Nobody wants to drive it, so they force Billy behind the wheel. The kid slams the gas pedal and, unsurprisingly, crashes the car. He immediately calls his dad, and Ryan rushes to the scene. All the boys get away with only scratches, but the car is completely wrecked. What are they supposed to tell their parents now? Ryan orders the boys to sit down and sends his son back to the car. He'll try to fix the situation and protect Billy, otherwise the kid could end up in foster care. That night, Ryan burns the car. The next morning, he meets with Brad's father and explains that he destroyed all the evidence. The man can now file an insurance claim. It should cover the damages. Jim replies that he's a lawyer and has no intention of risking his career over a false insurance claim. Billy was the one driving the car, and the lawyer plans to press charges against him. Given the boy's past, he'll definitely end up behind bars. The man forbids Billy from hanging out with Brad anymore. He doesn't want his son getting dragged into more trouble. 7 years earlier, Ryan had been forced to choose between his wife and his son. Both of them had a rare blood type, and the hospital didn't have enough blood for both. So the man had to make a terrible decision. He chose his son. Ryan rushes back to Johnny. This time, he needs a large amount of money and is willing to do whatever it takes to get it. That means they're about to pull off a serious operation. That evening, Ryan takes position on a hill while Johnny openly admits to his employers that he robbed them. He says he did it for fun because the money is dirty, and the gangsters themselves are pathetic, just dust compared to him. They'd love to blow his brains out right there, but first they want their money back. Johnny claims the cash is hidden in the trunk of a car. Nate checks it, but it's empty. A bullet instantly tears through his head. The second shot blows apart the brains of the bearded man who had Johnny at gunpoint. But it doesn't end there. More gangsters armed with assault rifles rush out of the hangar. Suddenly Ryan has a lot more targets. The sniper takes them all out one by one. Only one man manages to escape in a car, but the professional catches up to him. Ryan grabs onto the vehicle and drags the gangster onto the road. The terrified man begs for his life, but soon ends up buried beside his partners. That night, Ryan becomes a mass killer with no real justification left. The next morning, he tells his son they have to leave town. Billy starts screaming at his father, accusing him of blaming him for everything ever since he chose his son over his wife. Ryan grabs his son by the throat for a moment, then immediately apologizes. We then see Ryan saying goodbye to Justine. Maybe he would have chosen his wife, but her brain damage was too severe. There was a chance she would never wake up again. At that moment, the only person beside him was Johnny. It was his commander who supported him during the hardest time of his life. That evening, Ryan ambushes the lawyer in a parking lot. He sneaks into the man's car and leaves the required amount of money inside the glove compartment. If the lawyer cares about his son, he should leave their family alone. The fatal crash had actually been caused by the drunk driver of the other car. While Ryan entered his son's hospital room, Johnny went to visit the man responsible for killing his wife. Later, Johnny kidnapped that driver and killed him. That was the favor Johnny reminded Ryan about when they met again. Tonight, the commander is completely drunk and high on illegal substances. Even so, he's more than ready for an unexpected visitor. After suffering a serious wound, Johnny bites off the gangster's ear, nearly gouges out his eyes, and then slits his throat right in front of the neighbor. Johnny found himself in deep trouble and immediately rushed to Ryan for help. But only Billy was home, and Johnny started yelling at him. The commander explained that other criminals had found out about the stolen money. Now they would have to eliminate them too. And according to Johnny, all of this was Ryan's fault anyway. He was the one who needed the cash. We just need to kill a few bastards before they kill us, Johnny says. Of course, Ryan refuses. You owe me, Johnny screams. But Ryan reminds him that he never asked him to kill that driver. Johnny hugs his friend and apologizes. But suddenly, the man snaps and attacks Ryan with his fists. He completely loses control. A brutal fight breaks out. Ryan manages to pin his friend down and hopes it's finally over. but the psychopath starts choking him. Johnny grabs his pistol and points it at Ryan. One more second, and a gunshot rings out. Johnny's brains splatter across the wall. It turns out Billy had taken his father's rifle and remembered the lessons he learned as a child. Strangely enough, this incident finally brings father and son closer together. Still, after everything that happened, they have no choice but to leave the city.